Welcome to another episode of the Oxygen Not Included Beginner's Guide, and now that we've gone through all of the HUD and UI, we can go ahead and start building our base and start with the very start of it, the game. We get that, we hit play soon. So of note over here, we're going to, they're going to give you hints and stuff about movement. So arrow keys, wheel for in and out. H, use that guy. Never use that. Tab and space are for controlling the time. This is about digging and building, and this is about movement. What's really fun is sometimes they'll give you videos about how stuff works if you go to the pages, so that's also very helpful. So the first thing we're going to need to do is dig out some stuff, so we could start building the base. Okay. So when it comes to base building, this is probably where there's the most varied opinion on how it should be done. Some people don't really care about building a base. They literally are just digging for stuff. They leave it looking however it just happens to come out. I like to have a plan in mind, and I have like a specific shape that I go for. But like room size, all of these things, all varied. But what I like to do is find the biggest rooms that you can have. So these like 96 maximum. So that's what I'm going to base my middle section on. And then I will have ladders to the side, and then I will have a smaller room for the 64 max size. So that's how I do it. I've done it differently before. I've built it so that this is at the side of a room instead of the center. I've done all kinds of different sizes, but one thing is consistent for most people. You're going to want this 4 high and then a ceiling and a floor. It's a big enough size for pretty much everything that you need to build. And I think the minimum room height for bedrooms is that 4 tiles. So that's the one thing that is pretty consistent. You're going to be digging out 4 high. Up here is going to be ceiling height and then floor height. So since I want this middle section on mine to be 24 long, I'm going to find the center here. This is a even spaced. So to the one side, I'm going to go out to 12 this way, 12 this way. Though I think I'll do it at the top instead of the bottom. If you want to be building bases or the ceiling, what I would advise is leaving this bottom space so that they can, because dupes can build and dig 3 high. They can build the 4th block above them. So if they stand here, they can build here. But if I remove this, they can't reach this area to build. But let's get them started on their digging. These you're going to want to leave as they are. They are oxalite, and this is producing your oxygen for now. So you don't want to be getting rid of that. Surprised Frankie's not working. Frankie. Oh, she's on a different schedule. So she was having downtime there. I was like, why aren't you working? That makes sense. So Frankie's on a different schedule, so she's going to be sleeping for now. Now that we've got some materials dug out, we will be able to start building some stuff. So I'm going to start building in my ceiling. So this is the width that we're going to be going with for this center area. And then I will cap off this area like so. When you plan out where things are going to go, it does reserve the materials. So in the future, what I do for planning is just the corners of where the rooms are. So I'm not like keeping a lot of my stuff in reserve. But then after we do that, we're gonna have a 3 wide space. That's because what I'll do is eventually there'll be a ladder here, and then there's a method to go down quicker and a method to go up quicker. And it also helps with airflow, which is quite important. So when I'm building this room, I have this end cap with the 2 wide. This is where a door will go. A lot of people will actually have this part come down 3 and have the door here, and it works just fine. It means they don't have to like go up and down and such, but the reason I do it is because I don't like the dupes peeing in their water. If they go to the bathroom and like on one of these floors, it'll spill over to the side. And if this is just flat, it'll fall down. And usually when it comes to bases, you'll have like your water tank down below the ladder or something, so their pee can just fall down. So I like it where there's a block here to stop any liquids and keep them confined to whatever room they originate in. And then for the side ones, I like to do the for the smaller of the maximums, which is going to be 16 long, like so. So this is how I plan in the future. Like so. This is how I mark where the corners of rooms will be. And what our ultimate goal right now, the very first thing we want to be working towards, is making it so that they can have bathrooms. So they'll need to go to the bathroom, I think, the first time they wake up the second day. So we want places for them to be able to do that. So we need outhouses. And you can also go into medicine and make wash bins. I like using them. A lot of people don't bother, but I will be using washing bins. But we won't at first because you need access to fresh water to supply these. So the first thing we're going to be doing is getting them the outhouse. So I'm going to plan though for the bathrooms. For the sinks, even though I'm not going to be placing them, I want space for them. And then 2 more for bathrooms for the outhouses. When the dupes are digging and there's sand above, let's go ahead and cancel this since it's not a big priority. But if there's sand above, they don't have to dig it, it'll just keep falling. But that does mean they can like bury stuff or themselves if too much sand falls. So you want to be aware if you were digging up here that all this sand would fall. So you need to plan for that. If you want to change the time, you just hit tab. So let's go ×3. So there you could see how that sand fell. So we're gonna have to redig that out. So sink, outhouse, and outhouse. So when you go to build something, you can click on it and a bunch of information will pop up. You'll see here like it requires a certain amount of dirt per use. You can see like it'll produce polluted dirt, food poisoning, heat, it takes away from decor. So these are important to check. You can see what materials are here, and you can also choose different materials to build certain items out of. You pretty much just build out of sandstone to begin with. Later on, it'll matter more what you build materials out of, but that's like way down the line when heat can melt stuff if it's not the right material. So yes, now we have our bathrooms. They're going to need to fill it with dirt before they can use it. One thing you might want to do, which I usually do, is disable disinfect. They don't really need to be cleaning these all the time because eventually we'll be having them wash their hands as they leave the room, but we're not to that point quite yet. Let's go ahead and finish digging up this. And over here. And the next thing we'll want to do, once we have the materials for it, is build a research station, which, as you can see with this little icon, requires power. And I would recommend building it right next to this guy because this produces light and it means they work faster. But we need to get into our power. So what we're going to want to use is this manual generator and a battery. But we need, as you can see, missing metal ore. So we're going to need them to start digging up this stuff here. So dupes can travel up 2 squares and they can jump over a 1 gap. Keep that very much in mind because your dupes can get stuck places and they might starve or suffocate if you can't rescue them fast enough. So you definitely want to be keeping in mind whether they can travel or not. We've got a hatch. So hatches will eat any of these things on the ground and they'll produce coal. We'll be using these guys later. For now, they're fine to just be left. You can't reach this, right? Okay, good. So like I said, we'll want a ladder in this spot. Eventually there'll be a fire pole that we can use for them to travel between floors much quicker going down, and really late there'll be like tubes that they can use to travel upward fast. But for right now, this is mainly, this gap is for air. You can even build like that, so they can run straight across, so they're not having to jump the gap. And then eventually we'll just remove those when we don't want them anymore. Ladders don't block air, which is why I would use that instead of a tile in this area. All right, we've gotten enough power, or enough metal to get that guy built. Next we'll need a battery, just because the way this works is your dupes will be running on it to produce the power, and if you don't have a battery, that means someone has to be running on it 100% of the time to provide power. So we'll want something to store what they do generate. So the next thing I'm going to plan is this area over here. I'm going to be making this into their bedrooms, so they'll be happy if they get to sleep on a bed, as you could imagine. So we'll take that out. And then beds are also too wide, so you want to keep that in mind. Alright, now we have enough for the battery. So to make this all work, as you can see this little symbol here saying that it's not connected to the power. So you're going to need to take this wire and go from these little symbols between each other, or what you could do is go down into the floor. These can go through the floor just fine, but they can't go through like dirt. If they go through dirt, they'll dig it up. Oh, there you guys go. So when the things are right next to each other, it's fine to go straight across, but as you can see it here, whereas you can't see it on the floor. So mostly I'll be running wires through the floors or the ceilings. All right, now that we have this all set up, we can go up into this research tab. It should open as soon as you've built a research station. The first thing I'm going to be researching is this water cooler, and then following that, we will be learning this flower pot. And after that, we will need tables, which is up here. So that's the plan, but for now, we'll start with the water cooler. So now one of the dupes will come down and spend their time doing that research. Okay, so now that we've got research happening, we need furniture. Let's get these guys some cots, like so. And eventually we'll need doors to make these into rooms, like that. And we've gotten our first achievement. Bed and bath. At least one toilet and a bed for every duplicant. Alright, so we've done that, and what's really neat is, as I said, they take these like progress shots. Got that pretty fast, so there's not much to it, but it's always fun to check those out. They're not important or anything, but I enjoy seeing them. As you can see, the oxalate that we had over here has now disappeared. It has like a... As it lets out oxygen, it loses mass and eventually it disappears. So that's why these guys are gone now. You could actually dig over here, and that will give us access to all this food, and we may want to, say, just harvest these things when they're ready, if you can reach them. So now you have like the very basics done. We have beds for the dupes, and these will get assigned to them as they get to their bedtime. And then we have outhouses, so they're not just peeing everywhere. So this is a good start. We have access to some new renewable food, which they won't really have to do anything besides harvest. The next thing we're gonna want to do is get into the water. So like we can get those wash bins and we can start cooking certain things. So I'm probably going to build a ladder down into this. I'll probably consolidate the water either down in here or here. It should be noted though that dupes really don't like getting wet, so they are going to complain while they're doing this job, but I think it's important for us to get this all together for now. So once that's done, I will probably do something like this for now. So I'm going to keep having them dig this out as well. And the reason you want to keep digging in this first little bit is because you can find these, I don't see any out. There's like food you can get in these little symbols right here. It's a buried object. That could be food, it could be creatures, so they're good to be digging out. Oh, I'm so used to my base being to the point where I don't have to worry about germs, so seeing him having to clean, I was like, wait, why? Because we don't have anywhere to wash their hands yet, but it's fine. It's fine for now. We've completed research, so next up we want to get the this plant right here. And you navigate this by clicking and dragging or zooming in and out, like so. You can also filter and search over here, all very useful, because this is quite the tree, as you can see. And this isn't even considering DLC, which adds even more to it. So when you see this bar, it means your dupe is holding their breath, so as it depletes, they'll eventually go up to find oxygen. Oh, all right. Let's go ahead and slow that down. So this is the printing pod, and every certain amount of time it prints stuff. So this is also where we can see this. This is another location we can reach it. It's where we can see our dupes level up, so they don't have any skill points, so not useful yet. Oh. And here you can get a bit of lore. By inspecting this, you can click here to read the entry. But what is important right now is this. So what we have here are 3 dupes that we could have join the colony, or there's usually like a care package, which is like seeds or materials or that kind of thing. Very important. Do not take dupes until you are absolutely sure you're ready for them. The number one thing that can kill a base is having too many dupes, so you can't afford the food or you can't afford the oxygen, and it'll cause your base to die. So I would definitely not take a dupe right now. We don't have food production, we don't have oxygen, like we can't afford to have anyone else here. So we're gonna take the care package and go ahead and print that instead. We won't need these seeds for a while, but it's better than having an additional dupe. You can also can't like not accept anything and just like refresh it. It'll still have to do the same time period before you get any more items, but sometimes there's just nothing worth taking. So because I want this to be happening a bit quicker, I'm going to use the priority tool. Let's go 9, like so. So that should become their new priority. These guys are going to stop what they're doing up here to come down and deal with this for me. We've gotten some more research done, so let's head up in here. You pretty much always want research happening. So next is this. If you just click further down the line, it will queue everything necessary to get to this point. As you can see, there is a single bar. This is how much of the basic research you're going to need. Once you get to having both these bars, you'll need to have researched this guy, the supercomputer, and have that placed so they can do research at that station for these double requirements. But for now, we only need our first one. I don't know what you're breathing there, Frankie, but I'm glad you can. Oof. So Frankie just got hypothermia from dealing with all this water. So you'll see it'll affect, let's see, pause. So it takes down their ability to do science, machinery, construction, cooking. It makes them sneeze, but just letting them sleep or be out of the water for a bit and they'll recover just fine. Eventually you'll be able to use medicine and the like, but for now that's the best we've got, is just wait for them to warm up again. So as we saw, we got this cracked open. So what I will want is this pitcher pump. This will allow them to pull out water. Here you can see it goes down this far to the bottom of the water. And this illustrates that this much should be over the water. It still works if it's underwater, but your tubes won't be pleased. They have to swim to get water. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm going to put it here for now. It's going to be pretty temporary, I would say. But it's just so we can maybe start getting some sinks going. Oh, so as we can see here, they're not doing research because there's no power. We need to get this generator to be a higher priority. So now someone should come and do that. So once you have these sinks built, what you're going to want to do is set this direction to the pointing towards the exit. You don't need dupes washing their hands as they come into the bathroom, but as they're leaving, you definitely want them to do so. So have the arrows pointing towards the exit. This build. So when something is this orangey beige color, it means it's unreachable. So the reason that this is unreachable right now is there's a 3 gap. So we need a bit of a ladder here for our dupes. And once that's built, they'll be able to reach that. And now that this oxalite has gone, the dupes can come over here and they can get any of the food. I've built this assuming that once this oxalite is done, they can now climb up. And once these start getting low, we're going to have to consider what we want to do for producing oxygen, but we'll probably do that in the next episode. Yay, more research is complete, but I believe we still have something else queued, so she's going to keep going. Ooh, we're going to want to also put these on high priority, now that I've thought about it. This fills up, and then a dupe is going to have to come over and use a plunger on it. And if they both end up full at the same time, they'll just go to the bathroom on the floor. So you want to make sure that's happening. Alright, now that we've got this done, they can pull out water and they'll fill up these wash basins, so they will wash their hands, and that'll help with these germs. So I think for me, this is what you want to get done as fast as possible. Access to water, but first thing, the toilets. You want somewhere to go to the bathroom, then you want them to give them somewhere to sleep, and then get them access to water. And then next we will work on oxygen and probably maybe consider growing some food. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I hope that it was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And if you have any other suggestions about how you start your base, go ahead and leave those down below as well. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.